This is the management for the establishment.
Nice meeting you.
So you will be assisting us.
It again, another journey. This journey takes us to Clarendon Park in Clarendon. I have so many family members and friends from the Parish of Clarendon. So we just want to bless up all those who originally from Clarendon, bless up on yourself. Clarendon Park, I've never been to before. So for those who are looking for somewhere, when them come to Clarendon Park, Morris Fish and Jerk Hut is the place to be. So I'm in the garden, I'm in the lawn. I want to say a very special big up to the management who gave us the opportunity to just roll. So today now, we are in Clarendon Park to talk to agents of change. Now you and I know that we need so many things to change. Not wherever you are, I'm sure there are things that you need to change there. Where I am, there's a multitude of things that we need to change here. So to know that there's a thing or that there's a group of ones called agents of change, it is just so beautiful. So you know, wherever them say me for come, me forward. So yes, what them say, so me there. So here we want you to do now. We want you to stay with me. We're there, nice little vibes, and we're going to find out who are the agents of change and what it is that they really are all about. We gave you a little sneak preview when we did that Jadon interview, because we mentioned that they were there with Jadon. Well, no, its spotlight is totally on agents of change. So stay with us. We're up on the journey. See? So, life journey this morning takes us to Clarendon Park in Clarendon, and we are seated in a beautiful environment, compliments of Morris. Again, we just want to say enough respect to the management and staff for allowing us the privilege of sharing his spot. So I'm going to be talking to RAS PIZZLE, and RAS PIZZLE represents agents of change. So RAS PIZZLE, greetings.
Greetings, Mama.
Nice to see you again.
Yes, Mom.
All right, so we also want to thank Agents of Change for shooting a lot of the videos that we've been doing, and RAS PIZZLE is one of them. This time he's in front of the camera, not behind the camera. All right, so
Yes,
PIZZLE, before we talk about Agents of Change, let's talk a little bit about the I.
Yes.
Tell me about RAS PIZZLE, where you're from, that kind of thing, your early beginnings, start from scratch.
yes, thanks, Mama. So, RAS PIZZLE is a dynamic individual who was born in Spanish Town but grew up in central Clarendon, Maypen.
Okay.
Yeah. Born to a policeman, Colin Campbell, and a hairdresser in K. Parnell. You know what I mean? And out of that spawned this individual. And I grew up on Bushy Park scheme. So I spent most of my childhood life in Bushy Park for the most part. You know? In terms of schooling, I went to the Love Lane Basic School where I matriculated to Maypen Primary, and then I got the opportunity to attend the Glenmuir High School.
Glenmuir High School, a top high school in the Clarendon, you know, true, me don't come from Clarendon, me know the thing, you know.
We do. So yeah, that was where my life changed for the better, I would say. You know what I mean? Because I was coming out of a volatile environment, to say the least. But out of that, we got an opportunity to go to one of the prestigious high schools in Clarendon and in Jamaica for that part. You know, as a result of that, we buckled down throughout school, and we managed to matriculate to the University of Technology.
Okay. Jamaica?
Yeah, man. University of Technology, Jamaica. And I studied finance and marketing. So I have a BBA in business administration.
Okay.
And yeah, from that experience spawned the idea of the universal movement of change, which purpose of what we're here for, which is the agents of change. And I would be what you would say the founder, the person who came up with the idea.
Okay, let's talk about that. What inspired you to come up with the idea?
All right, so when I was attending the University of Technology, we had a 4th-year course called Seminar. Now, that course is a 1-year course, and what is required of you is for us to keep a conference at the end of the seminar, and the budget for that was about 3.5 million. Now, what happened was that 150 students from the university were pulled together in one group, which was the finance group. So 150 students with different backgrounds, different orientations and the like. And all of us were pitted together, and the main objective was for us to pass this examination, which come up with this 3.5 million and keep the conference. So yeah, out of that experience, what we did was we formalized a committee and we separated the various functions of business, and then they delegated to various committees and the like. Now, what the experience taught me was that as a collective coming together, we can achieve anything. Because at the end of the course, we managed to keep the conference for 3.5 million and also have a surplus of $1 million to do a retreat for us after the success.
So how did you overcome the differences amongst you all?
So, alright, so great question, Mama. Now, the reality is, initially when the farming and the norming stage, it was very difficult because when we had the formal meetings, so what would happen is that we meet one time formally and one time informally. So we have a meeting where everybody is there, the 150, and then we break off informally for our various committees. And we would meet and report at the general meeting every week. Now, from that experience, we had many debates, many disagreements, but the common objective was to make this 3.5 million. And we kept many events, many fundraising activities and the likes. But yeah, we managed to survive. I don't know what the formula was. I guess the fact that all of us wanted to pass, we had that common objective. Yes. And if you did not participate, then you would not pass the course. So you would have spent a year and not get a pass. So I think that was the common objective.
You know, as I hear you, listening to you, I can't help but think about His Imperial Majesty said that we must come together on what affects us all, and we tend to come together on our differences, and that creates division.
True.
But what affected you all was that the war for class.
and yeah, that idea was what, let me see that. No man, but we can start an enterprise for ourselves. The reality is now, after we had the experience, I realized basically that we didn't have to work for anybody. That was the essence of what I learned there, that we can use our entrepreneurial spirits to achieve whatever vision or objective, which the common vision at that time was to pass a subject. So I went to my friends at the time and I made mention of the idea. So, yo, look, I'm not free to go work for nobody when I left university, because seminar teach me something. Seminar teach me, so I'll have to do those pool of resources and ideas together. And, we can make a great enterprise, like impactful enterprise. So that spawned that idea. Now, so that was 2012. Subsequent to that, I finished my degree and then I started working at Digicel. So when I was working at Digicel, I got to learn about customer service and the importance of customer service. We already had an idea of it because we studied it, but then we could have applied it. Now, after that, I manifested the physical appearance that you currently see now. Because subsequent to me leaving the university, about a year after, I started to manifest physical locks and started to live full Rastafari life. So the self-reliance idea that Marcus Garvey preached and Haile Selassie, we kind of did. We wanted to make an impact, a positive impact on the world, you know, because these are our idols. So when I wanted to join the UNIA, you know, after going with one of my brethren, so he's no transition impact. He was the one who was instrumental for us to go to that UNIA meeting. Now, at the meeting, I realized that there was a division in the UNIA between Stephen Golding and the other members. It never sit well with my spirit. And I think that was the reason why I went home and had this vision. Because in the vision, what happened was Marcus Garvey himself in the vision came to me and we had a conversation. I can't remember the conversation word for word. But one of the essence was I was telling him that I wanted to, you know, join the organization and make an impact. And what he did was he smiled and he said to me, man, what is more important is not the organization, but what the organization represents. And he placed a piece of paper in my hand, in the vision. And when I took the paper and opened up the paper, what was written on the paper was the universal movement of change.
Wow.
And he said to me, once the essence is there, then everything is good. It's not the organization, but what it represents. And when we come out of the vision, the morning, I link my brethren, Courtney Simpson, aka Rankin, and I express the dream to him and I tell him exactly. And that was the first move we made towards the universal movement of change. About 12 of us came together and we were throwing views and we had ideas and the like, but the common vision wasn't there, like the vision that we had in the seminar. So after a while, persons drift apart. And
what was your vision?
the vision was what we kind of a statement that represents we would say a motto there, which was building individuals' mind, body, and spirit, or mentally, physically, and spiritually. So we are saying that once you have developed mentally, physically, and spiritually, then you will be in a better place to identify with the vision. And the vision was to make a positive impact through enterprise, because we have all the resources at our foot. But one of the resource that is least used is our entrepreneurial resource. So we find out now so that's something we did want to invest in from that experience. And it so happened that within that same time frame that I was manifesting the idea, I met up with a warrior called Militant General to the Emperor. It was 2012 if I'm not lying. The summer 2012, which was our birthday. So my birthday is the 12th of July. Militant's birthday is the 13th of July. Now we had a mutual friend in that of Clap Fashions, who's Gary Richards. So he was his business was the first business after I left my work at Digicel that I helped. The first brand I helped to rise out of where we were, from just an idea to manifestation. So we came up with the Clap Fashions brand, and in the same time I met Militant General. Now, what was peculiar about the individual was the fact that when we met, it was on a night of my birthday transitioning to his birthday.
Yes.
And in the midst of that, a child was born. So while we were there reasoning about whatever we were experiencing at the time, one of our friends' daughter was born.
Wow. Right
in the midst of that. So that was something.
That's mystic.
Very mystic. And what that did for us was brought us as a family together. So we started to par. We started to reason more and everything, you know.
So that child born in the middle of the tour.
In the middle of the tour birthday. Right there. And what happened now was one day both of us were having a conversation. And we were listening to IFM to you know, and on the radio they were advertising Sumfest, but he just did a mixtape. Well, I wouldn't call it a mixtape. He just did a compilation, right? And he had about 3 songs on it. I don't want to tell a lie, but about 3 songs. He did it himself. He produced it, did the artwork, get somebody to take a picture, do everything himself. I mean, I say, yo, this powerful. Because I never see no other artist around me do something like that. And I say to him, say, yo, you have a product in a brother. And because you have a product, all them things we are here on the radio, some festival there. And mama, if me tell her a lie, following day this man come to me with 50 CD and lighter ready for package and present.
Which is the kind of enterprise you're looking for.
That is what I was looking for.
Yo, the revolutionary, the revolutionary, the revolutionary, revolutionary, the revolutionary, the revolutionary, the conversion is revolutionary, 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 the conversion.
Let me ask you this, Pizzle, because I'm listening to your talk and a lot of ones will have an idea and gather ones that have the same idea. But have you found that you can find people who think like you philosophically, but somehow when the finances come round, everybody just get very, very weak. And I have found that with us as a people, generally, that we can philosophize from now till the cats come home or the cows, whoever. But then when it comes to actually putting our money where our thoughts are, that's how everything gets weak.
And to me, that is the sad thing about it. Because when we are having conversations and reasoning, everybody kind of sound like end up on one page. But when execution time, after we delegate on who should do what, we realize that the energy is not what it was thought out to be. You know what I mean?
Because at the top of the day, you're looking for an option to working with people. So a financial plan have to be there at some level.
And whenever it is that we come to that plan, that is where everything come to bump, you know? And it's kind of funny say people react them with it when money is involved. But for I and I personally, money was never the driver. And it still is not the driver. However, we have bills and family to feed. You know what I mean? So the reality is I've worked pro bono, mama, for various enterprises for almost a decade.
Wow.
This is a youth to have university level education, could have worked for any enterprise out here, who just saw the vision of working with like-minded people.
So who are agents of change now? How many people in the group, and is it a group?
It is a group, mama, but it's a group where it's inclusive, it's not exclusive. You know, and to what most persons think about of when they hear agents of change is not necessarily what it really is. What it really is an enterprise that wherever you're from, once you're making positive change, you know what I mean? That is the essence of what agents of change represent. Which I have a social media interview program that I run, where I interview persons who we would consider to be agents of change. Why? Because they are making positive change in and around their environment. And one of the questions that I ask at the end of each interview is, if someone see themselves as agents of change, and if so, why do they see themselves? Because the reality is, if you're not seeing yourself as somebody who will make positive change, then I guess
there are lots of people listening to us here now. What would you, or who would you consider to be an agent of change? Who would you say, oh, that's an agent of change, I want to interview that person?
Why, mama, you are an agent of change. I would love to have you on my program. Why? You have revolutionized the idea of radio, and I'm putting you on the pinnacle now. And then if on a small level, I would want to look at a man like Jordan with his brooms, because it's simple and basic, you know, but it's so universal, it's not funny. And most people would see it and think that it is tacky. But no, it is a preservation of our culture.
And financially viable.
So much so. And that is what one of our problems. We fail to identify with the opportunities, with the resources that we have. You know? And that this young man was raised in the Broomland, and he took initiative and learned the trade, because enough youth over there never learn it. And then not only that, uses enterprise to create a business from it. You know which employment he can provide, these things. So things like that is what we look at.
Right.
And My artist Militant General as well. He's a perfect example of that. It has been there beside me throughout the whole thing.
And
he
Militant
continues.
General is the artist who RAS PIZZLE just said actually brought his CDs and was
And
ready
there is
to
a
go.
whole story to that, and I'm not going to tell it. I want him to tell it.
All right.
You know what I mean? But yeah, why I said that, because he was the first artist. I've been around many artists and I've done work with many artists, and he's the first artist that looked at me and said, Mr. Pizzle, you know I'm a manager. Yeah, no contract, no nothing. Just looked at me one day and said, yo, Pizzle, yeah, I'm a manager. And it's done right there, so. And I've been his manager from then till now.
Wonderful. So we're going to have a conversation with Militant General soon. One of the things I found, Pizzle, is that your average person, although they may be qualified to be considered an agent of change and even have an entrepreneurial spirit, because of limited resources, find themselves in a pickle. And there are many grants available to people like that, but it is such a complicated process to even understand the grant
It is.
that I am wondering if someone like you, who has had a formal education, a tertiary education, can actually penetrate some of these barriers to get some of these grants to help some of these youths.
Definitely can, Mama. But you know, as agents of change, not because we want to do this grand thing and create this change means it's going to happen overnight. That's something I learned the hard way. You know what I mean? I've been a decade in and I still feel like I haven't done anything as yet. And I've done a lot. And I'm saying that to say that the idea is for us as persons who have the creativity, who have the resources, to pull together. That is the essence of Agents of Change. That is how we're going to create this positive change. We're going to use our enterprise and our resources. We're going to pull them together and we're going to provide opportunities for persons who don't have them and put them in positions that they can do the same, like what we're doing. That's the essence of Agents of Change.
How I got introduced to Agents of Change was through Francine and Jadon.
Yeah.
And it was when you all went into the boys' home together
Yes.
and helped these young people to make the brooms and that kind of thing. How much of that intervention do you actually do?
We do it like every day, you know.
Wow.
Informally, but formally we do it whenever we get the opportunity, because you know we have 9 to 5. I also have my personal business because I'm the owner and director of Sure Pass Institute, where I offer tutoring services in mathematics, because I'm an educator as well.
Okay.
And I'm also a manager, artist manager, business manager, so I do a lot of things. However, whenever we get the chance, we do go out, we do extend ourselves. We have been on the Jody and Pantry school tour as well. Even recently, for the DaCosta Cup team at Glenmuir, I was given the opportunity to go and speak with the team after they had a loss, you know, and they were not playing in the true spirit of Glenmuir High School. And I went there and I had that opportunity to speak with the 24-man squad along with the coach and the assistant coach. I think we are currently now in the DaCosta Cup finals, and I think that speech was something that was instrumental. I'm not saying that you know what I mean, but the motivation that was here, it's important.
Right.
You know, and these are what we do every day. This is what we do every day, all day.
Look here, you're talking about motivation, and that is such a key thing, because this might not be on the average person's agenda, but it certainly is on mine, and I have to ask you this. A lot of failure, especially among us as a people with such a traumatic history and a traumatic past, comes from trauma. How important have you found emotional intelligence to play a part in success and moving forward, especially as an educator?
If I was not emotionally intelligent, probably I would not be here right today. Like, I would not sit here in this interview. And the reality is you have to be pragmatic as well. Understand the vision that you want to achieve and know that whatever it is that you're going through is just a phase. You know what I mean? And you have to hold that energy and channel it, you know, to the positiveness, because Even having a conversation recently with my brothers, Jordan and Militant, we were on the phone. That was something that we were speaking about. It's very important for us to continue on this journey, regardless of where we are, what we're doing. And we can't be vexed at the world and the system for whatever it is that we're experiencing. We have to take, we have to take that, channel it in the right direction. That's how I look at it. But, emotional intelligence is
very key. I can talk from personal experience, RAS PIZZLE, because as someone who has been through many traumatic experiences, there are several options, and one of them is to curl up and die. That's the easiest one. Right? But I've also found that until we, first of all, find out what it is that is traumatizing us, because trauma funny, you can have trauma you don't know,
That's the sad part of
That's
trauma.
the sad part of trauma. But if you honest enough with yourself and realize it, so that's something we may do and keep on doing it over and over don't make sense. Why may I do it? That's something that I have had to ask myself. And I'm personalizing it because I don't want people listening to think that trauma is something where them go through. It's a thing where all of we go through. And having found out what it is, usually a lot of it is coming from way back to, and a lot of it is programming. You have to find out what it is that's holding you back. If there's something that's holding you back, find out what it is. And it might not be holding you. When I say holding you back, I don't mean necessarily financially, or in your career. Your career can be booming.
Yeah, man.
And you still have something to hold you back.
Spiritually, mentally.
Emotionally. So I think we need to start to, as a people, and particularly now that we're talking to agents of change, we need to start putting on the table that one of the things that we have to start to explore is our emotional well-being, because it affects every aspect of our lives.
Mental health is very important.
Very important.
If your mind is not centered, then nothing is centered.
Absolutely.
That is how I look at it. Now, PTSD is something that Jamaicans in general have got through, and I don't think it has been diagnosed, but based on my experience, I be a mad people there in Jamaica. And I'm saying mad, mean disrespectful to no one. Clean clothes or whatever, but psychologically, I'm in balance.
And it shows by what's happening with our country.
Definitely. Yeah, man. So I really and truly think I be a mad people there in Jamaica for real. And why I say that is because we are going through PTSD, post-traumatic stress. There are many experiences that we've had and we haven't dealt with them professionally. And that's why we have reasoning like this now. These reasons are very important. When we get the chance to speak what we feel and how we feel, we have to do that, whether it's in a formal setting or informal setting.
We have many people who are going to bring finances to the table, philosophy to the table, and culture to the table. I would like to propose that someone out there who is listening to this conversation brings our emotional health to the table. Because what is happening in Jamaica now is not just crime by itself.
No.
A lot of it is traumatized young people who had absolutely no guidance as children and who it is affecting, and it affects all of us. So it is my opinion that as agents of change, we now have to be intentional and specific about our mental health. And when I say mental health, I am not just talking about people that you see on the road who you consider to be mad.
Mm-hmm.
I am talking about me too.
Clothes. Yeah, man. Anybody will look like women.
Exactly.
And as we said, systematically, there's a lot more that can be done, because as we said, it starts from the individual, but we need to have the environment that is conducive, because the reality is, as a man, mama, when you have a man, really and truly, I tell you, say, reason with you about in mental state and in well-being, it's very difficult. Yeah. And there's a stigma that is attached to a man, like a man will be soft when it them talk about mental health. But when it forward to I bridging, then we real with myself. And that is one of the things that is instrumental with the movement, is that we try to be truthful to ourselves as much as we can. You know what I mean? Because we're not perfect. But the reality is we have to talk about these things, and we're not for shy away from talking about it. And I think that is where it starts. And we have been doing that. You know what I mean? Hence the reason why we even went to the boys' home. You know what I mean? Because we think that is a perfect place where it's a perfect example of what trauma can do.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
That is where we are. We want to do a lot more of these things. I recently had an interview with, her name is Tammy Sansai. She's an advocate for mental health. She has a book that she wrote on that as well. So we have persons and people in the network that are able and capable to help us to draft and craft something that will definitely add value.
I'm happy to hear that. And you know, one of the things that I'm happy to hear, I'm happy to know that there are so many, I don't want to use the word men, but man, in agents of change, because you made a very serious point. We have been socialized to think that counseling is not very masculine. And it's very important for us to really get to our boys and our man them. Because it's some of them people, I know enough of them hardcore people who out the road are going like the biggest damn. And you know what I sometimes just want to say to them? Just come cry, darling. Just come right
and
yourself
sometimes
that's
all they want. They
just
want.
ball. Because you have been socialized for ball for so long. That's a lot of pent-up energy in our men.
Can I say, as we said, to be real, mama, because this is what the program represents. I haven't cried for about 3 years. The last time I cried was when the passing of my brother, Emperor. And what made me cry was just to see the sight of my father in the hospital. And I was trying to hold back the tears, mama, the other day. Like, literally I talked to him on the phone, video call. And I try to be tough. Try to hold it back, and I try to hold it back, then he just run. You know? And the reality is, after I cry, I feel a little better.
You must feel better. It's like you want, and you know, you can't. You have to. You understand? And you know something else too, as we talk about, because it's a family thing. Another thing that we need to put on the table. Because a lot of that tough up thing, the way some man are tough up themselves and are going, you know. And we cause it as woman, you know. Because we feel like the tougher them is, the better. And we need to put ourselves in a position. I'm not gonna say you're a ball morning, noon and night, but we need to put ourselves in a position where we can allow our boys, we can allow our man them for ball, brethren. Sometimes we need to have a conversation with them and say, you know what me think you need for do? Ball.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes that's required.
Yes.
Shed enough tears, and you're going to feel much better.
Of course.
So that way, but I truth. And all my brother them, we have been in situations where we're allowed to cry a lot, you know, because 2019, I don't want to be chronologically correct. So 2019, Substance, which was one of my friends for about more than 20 years now, go to high school, university. He's also the artist that I was working on his project. His daughter transitioned 2019. Then following that year, my brother, Emperor, transitioned 2021. 2020, matter of fact, the latter part of 2020. So we're going at 2020, heartbroken. By the ending of 2020, worst heartbreak. You know what I mean? Recently, we know what happened with Jordan and his Empress. And it's like, it's a never-ending cycle, and these things are going to happen the more older we get.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
We lose people like that, and we have to put ourselves in a position where we can at least grieve by, shedding some tears. Because some of the times when we tough up, them things that we could do some things we would normally do if we did cry.
And we need to have these difficult conversations. So I particularly, if I was talking to one of my sisters, probably I wouldn't talk like that because we have this conversation all the time.
Yeah, man.
It's the brethren them who don't have this conversation. And just like you said, RAS PIZZLE, it's a part of life. We're going to be facing these issues from time to time. How do we deal with it as a family?
That's where the emotional intelligence comes.
Absolutely. All right. So, where does Agents of Change go from here?
All right, and that's a very wonderful question. And the reality is, we're going to be a global force to be reckoned with. Why? What we're doing now is basically something that has never been done before. I've never seen it. Where there's a group of young entrepreneurs who identify themselves as being African Jamaican, whose duty is to preserve the history and the culture of what they see as their culture, which is African Jamaican culture. And I mean, that is exactly what we're doing. So we're going to use enterprise to change the world for the better.
Wow, love that. And finally, is there anything as an agent of change that you would like to say to your people, Jamaicans particularly, and just the world at large?
After this conversation, the thing I want to say to every Jamaican is talk to somebody. Find somebody who you trust, you respect, and you think have your best interest at heart. Have these hard conversations. Shed some tears. Now after you shed them tears, you remember the vision. Righteousness above all things. Positivity over negativity. That's all I have.
That's a lot. We just want to thank you so very much for taking the time out of your schedule. We enjoyed every minute of this. And for those listening who consider themselves to be agents of change, drop a line in the comment section and tell us, first of all, what you think is or who you think is an agent of change. And for those who think they're agents of change, tell us why. Tell us also, what else do we need to see amongst ourselves? What other changes do you need to see amongst ourselves that can make our society a more civil, a more loving, and a more enterprising one? Thanks again for joining us. And RAS PIZZLE, thank you so very much.
Yes, Mama. Thanks for having me.
All the time.
On behalf of my class and I want to say thank you for taking your time out to educate us and you
Something military.
There, we're there on the journey, So if you love the journey where we're there on, like, subscribe, and also share if you love it that much. And another thing, remember to hit that notification bell, and that notification bell will help to give you updates as soon as the upload comes out. You will have it, all right? So do that.